Hello, this is John Teravskis with WGR Southwest. And I wanted to take a moment to show you an exciting tool that we've developed for the Phase II MS4 permit for cities and counties that need to comply with this. So the particular tool I'm going to share with you today is something we developed for the city of Marysville, but it can easily be adapted to other cities. And it really helps tie in the program into kind of a meaningful format. You know, there are lots and lots of files and documents and information associated with complying with the State Water Board's Phase II MS4 permit. And lots of times, you know, what you have is a server or maybe a binder full of these files, but you don't really see how they relate to one another and how they interact. In fact, that's one of the biggest challenges about this program is getting it to make sense, because there's all these different pieces and they're not independent. They actually depend on one another. So I want to walk you through this tool, and I'm going to share my screen here so you can see it. And so let's take a look at how this works. So we've password protected it, and I'm just going to type in the password for that. So now the one thing, as we go into this website here, it's just a very simple website. We designed it using wix.com, something I'm sure you could easily put together yourself too. And we have basically, we call this just an electronic binder is all it is. You know, a 3-ring binder that is an electronic format. Again, to allow us to bring all the pieces of the program into one place where they can interact with each other and where we can see how they relate to one another. Now, who would use this tool? Well, predominantly it's going to be you as the Stormwater Program Manager will mostly be using this. It's, again, to give you access to all these different elements of the Phase II MS4 permit compliance program. But it doesn't have to end there. You could go beyond and have maybe your key staff or core staff have access to it, or maybe city staff in general. Or it can also be adapted to make it accessible to the public, or both. We could have a section that is just for city staff only, and then another that is for the public to access. Again, there's lots of different options here and a lot of different variations, but I wanted to just illustrate to you the concept here. So you'll notice on this front page that we have all of the different program elements presented in more or less order. Now, some of them are combined, and we'll take a look at each one of these briefly. But these are the elements that we have to comply with in the Phase II MS4 permit. So let's start with E6, which is the first one, and that'll take us to a page where we have some links to different elements, compliance elements in the permit. So one is the existing code, and this just jumps out to, in this case, the City of Marysville Municipal Code, and then we could just click on there and go look at the code. We could browse the code and see what's just by chapter, and see what there we go. I opened it up. We could go find the stormwater code under this. Again, I don't want to get bogged down too much into details, but more illustrate how this works. Now, we also have some other documents, like we have some proposed municipal code revisions that we've linked here. It's just linked to a Word document. So if I click on that, it's actually going to download it to your local computer there. We have the proposed enforcement response plan. We have a legal authority certification statement. All of these things are required by Section E6 of the Phase II MS4 permit. And then the landscape ordinance gap analysis. You probably recognize this as the MUROP template that we had to use per the permit, answering different questions about the city's or the county's municipal code when it comes to landscaping and to low impact development, to see if there were any impedances between the standards and code and what we were recommending or requiring in the post-construction plan. So those are some of the E6 elements. Now, that doesn't have to be the limit. We could have a lot of other things included in that too. That's just to show you some of the possibilities. Then E7 and E8, lots of times we combine those. That's the education outreach program. And if we click on that, we will see that we have the city's E&O plan. So if I click on that, that takes us to a PDF where we can see the different, well, we can see the document and access that and download it. But this is the core document that walks us through identifying what are going to be our educational messages and who are our audiences that are going to receive that. And then we have other things like there's a coastal cleanup day, so we've linked to that website. And then we have linked onto there here training resources and tools that we've developed over the years. We have something that we call MS4 School that we've created, basically pretty much a half-hour to 1 hour program for each of these Phase II MS4 permit elements, along with other videos like illicit discharge detection investigations, doing hotspot inspections per E11E in the permit, and on a hot topic right now, pyrethroids and integrated pest management. So there's lots of training tools that we linked here. So if you have a new staff member or someone who maybe you yourself want to bone up on one of these areas, you can watch one of these videos. All right, so we'll take it back to home and look at the next section, E9. That's the illicit discharge detection and elimination program. And if you know your permit, you know there's some core documents that have to go with this program as well, including the spill response plan. And so if I click on that, you can see the PDF of that. And there's the forms and different things associated with that. We've also broken those forms out and made them real accessible so you don't have to scroll through that spill response plan. So like the initial contact form, initial investigation form, follow-up investigation form, and then a chain of custody form for doing sampling. We've also included a table here to track IDDE and SSO events as they happen. And we've linked this to, for now, to Google Docs. So if I click on that, it'll take me out to the spreadsheet that can be populated with anyone who has permission to access it. So if you're working with WGR and you have city staff that also might be needing to populate this, we can all do it and do it real time. And once we enter something in here, like let's just do one right now. So we'll just put today's date here, August 17th, 2021. Report initiated by, let's say, Sally Stormwater. I know, real creative name, right? And location of discharge. Now, you know, I'm just doing an illustration here. You could use latitude and longitude. You could do an address. You could do an outfall number. So let's just say South Basin outfall. And then a description of it. So this is our IDDE and SSO. So if it was a sanitary sewer overflow, we might want to put in SSO from 36-inch line on Pine Street. Or if it was an illicit discharge, we might describe what it is and where it came from. And then we have other things here that we need to take care of. So let me scroll over a little bit. We have description, we did that, actions to be taken, who, what, where, and how. So basically, public works, streets crew, cleaned up, stopped, let's just say stopped, cleaned up the spill within 2 hours of the report. And then we results and follow-up investigation need to report on the state website and prepare a written report. And then date investigation resolved or closed. And like we said, it was all addressed very quickly. And so let's just put in today's date. And there we go. So we can just hit share, which means it's saving. And hopefully, if we come back over here and we do a refresh, we should see it pop in. There it is. Look at that. So we can track this, and this is really good because you might have multiple people working for your municipality. You may have contractors, consultants, different offices, different locations. And so no matter who it is, where they're at, as long as they're authorized to have access to it, we can keep a record of this. And what this is really helpful for is, again, managing your stormwater program and come annual report time, this information is going to be invaluable. So definitely it's a real good tool. And I think you're getting the point of how this tool interacts with it itself and how you see those different areas. Well, I guess I need to log in again. I probably went back too far. So let me type in my password, and there we go. Now that password is optional. We can have it or not have it, and so right now we're just showing that. All right, so let's go to the next one, construction control program. And here we have our erosion and sediment control plan templates for small projects. So we have a generic small project form. We have one that's specific to home additions, another that's specific to patio covers, another that's specific to utility work or road work, small projects, and another that's swimming pool construction. For larger projects, it says you need to contact the water board and find out information about the construction general permit, and we give the link to that. And then we also have a review worksheet for the person who's going to be reviewing the SWIPs or erosion sediment control plans submitted to the city. And so we'll have that worksheet there as well. And then the permit requires that there be an inventory, and very much like the IDDE table that we just illustrated, we keep an inventory of construction projects happening within the city. And so we populate this through various means. One of the ways is through the State Water Board Smarts website. We watch that maybe on a monthly basis, download new projects that have gotten a WDID and that will be starting up within the city limits. The other is from the permit plan check counter, and as projects come through and are approved, even those less than an acre, if you remember, the permit requires that any project that the city has knowledge of, meaning that it's permitted or approved or conditioned, that needs to go on our inventory. And so that goes on here, and we keep a record of that. Now that's going to be really, really helpful come inspection time. Your inspector will be using this inventory to go out and do inspections. Again, there's a lot more that can be added to this tool. We can actually keep a record of inspections and other things, but this gives you an idea of what might be on the E10. Now let's go to the next program element, and that's Municipal Operations. And this is where we have to identify all of our municipal owned and operated facilities and keep an inventory of them, but then also determine which of those are hotspots. And again, you would need to go to the permit, and it's more than the scope of this video to talk about what is a hotspot. By the way, one of those videos I just showed you does exactly that and walks you through how to do a hotspot. But here we have a listing of that. Again, it's that external database that we can populate. Now we have it in a specific format because what I have it doing is auto-populating the location on a map. So pretty cool, huh? You can, your facility location will automatically pop up on a map that's right there. And then we have the hotspot investigation forms. So if we click on that, you can see what they did and what they looked at during that hotspot investigation at that location. All right, so that is E11 Municipal Operations. E12 is post-construction, and there's a lot of information that is associated with this permit element. The core document is the post-construction standards plan. We have a link to that here. And this is a link that needs to be made accessible to the public. And so it'll probably be a link that you'll be forwarding to others, as well as the appendices that go with it, which are actually Excel spreadsheets. And so we have the water balance calculator for small projects, the volumetric sizing tool for regulated projects, and then we have a worksheet that needs to be filled and completed, as well as the O&M and plan and statement of responsibility. And like the others that you saw, I think you're getting the idea that these documents and those complying with it need to be kept in an inventory. And so we populate a database here. We can show it on a map. Now I only have one record populating this right now, just for illustration purposes. But of those entities that have installed a post-construction standards plan, once a year, the municipality has to reach out to them and basically ask them three questions. Do you still have that post-construction measure, treatment control measure? And it might be something that looks like this photo, a bioswale, or it could be a bioretention area, a green roof, and porous pavement, porous pavers, infiltration trench, retention basin. It's one of those. So basically we want to know, do they still have that? And is it being kept up to maintained per the O&M maintenance plan that was submitted? And is it still effective? And so basically, here's those three questions right here. I certify that the post-construction treatment controls are in place as originally approved by the city. I certify that the inspections and maintenance are performed of the post-construction treatment measures in accordance with the O&M plan that was submitted. And I certify that the post-construction treatment control measures are effective and operating as designed. And so what we've created is an online form that you could email out to them, basically say, okay, complete this questionnaire. And once they hit the button here, press to certify and submit, it basically sends you an email with their annual submission. So a real convenient way for both you and for the property owner or manager to be able to do. And so we have other post-construction municipal references, such as the code and the landscape ordinance gap analysis and other things here associated with that. And then let's go look at E13 and E15. This is the water quality monitoring and TMDL page. Now, there's been a lot of development of this in the last few years. The most recently has been the Pyrethroid management program. And so right here we have the Pyrethroid management plan that many people are having to put together and implement. And right here, this current month, it's due. And so we have that. We have historic documentation of correspondence between the municipality and the regional board, also the regional board's letters mandating it and their resolution. We also have education resources about pesticides, in particular pyrethroids, that are accessible here, which are a part of the pyrethroid management plan. In addition to that, we can link into this tool your trash amendment program. Depending on whether you took track 1 or track 2, we might have different elements that need to go on here, including your trash assessments if you chose track 2. And then depending on what your TMDLs are and where your municipality is located, you may also need to have a regional monitoring program. In this case, with this particular city, we've basically identified that their TMDL for chloropyrifos and diazinon was attained. And the regional board is saying no monitoring is needed for that at this time. And then we also evaluated the other potential monitoring programs that might kick them in, like 303D, and we found that that was non-applicable to them. And then special studies, we found that that was non-applicable because they didn't have a big enough population. And so we provide the references for that to the 303D list and to also the to check their population with the Census Bureau. And so again, this is a great tool to catch maybe someone who's new to the program up to speed and to know, oh, yeah, that's why we made that decision. Or even you know, it's been some years since some of this has been out, and to even remind ourselves who have been with the program the whole time. And then the last one I want to show you is assessment and reporting. This is our annual reporting. And along with that comes this big exercise of the annual program effectiveness assessment. And our core document in this case is what we call our PEAIP, the Performance Effectiveness Assessment Implementation Plan. And so that is our key document that guides us through that process. You can see that there. And then we have the worksheet that goes with this. And then I've also downloaded from Smarts the last several since the permit came out annual reports. So PDF copies of the annual reports. So hopefully you can see that this tool is a pretty useful tool and something that I think would help you be able to track your program, to track down all of the different elements to it. This is just a start. You know, this is something that can easily be maintained even by you once it's created, and it doesn't take a web expert to build this. It's pretty easy to modify it and change it. So if you're interested in this, contact WGR. We'd love to talk to you about maybe creating something like this for your program. And so I hope you enjoyed it, and get a hold of us if you're interested in talking more about this type of tool and how it might apply or help your municipality. All right, talk to you later. Thanks.